When Mike Tomlin was asked one of the reasons why Matt Canada was fired during his press conference earlier this week, his response, or one of his responses, was that the Pittsburgh Steelers offense was playing September football in November, meaning there was way too many miscommunications, blocked assignments, execution issues throughout the entire game. And a prime example of that is the screenplay. So today what we're going to do is we're going to break down all of the screens from the Pittsburgh Steelers. There are 6 of them, 7 if you include the one that was a delay a game that also would not have worked. And I'll be able to show you guys what Mike Tomlin was talking about when he referenced this team's just not on the right page with each other. But before we get into this video real quick, I want to clear up something from the last one. I dropped a video breakdown of the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak, when it came to Matt Canada's position as the offensive coordinator. And I forgot to mention, I got a few comments here and there asking about where in the game that those plays took place. And they were the last 2 drives for the Pittsburgh Steelers to go in and win the game in the fourth quarter, minus the prayer, toss, and pitch pass. Without further ado, let's break down the screen passes. On the first screen play, it's going to be Najee Harris is going to be the primary receiver. One thing I don't like about this play, to be honest with you guys, is the fact that it is a under center play action pass screen. And the reason why I don't like this play is because the tendency for the Pittsburgh Steelers indicate that when Kenny Pickett's under center, it's either going to be a play action pass and or a run. So defenses are keying in on that. The design of the screen pass is to allow the defensive players on the line to penetrate the line in efforts to get the ball over their heads and into the hands of your running back with linemen down the field to block for them. So when you have a play action pass and the defense is keying in on your running back and quarterback in those moments, there's only a few outcomes that are going to happen. It's going to work perfectly, or one of the penetrating linemen is going to assume that the ball was handed off and tackle your only target on the play, or one of the penetrating linemen is going to see that this is not a handoff and get your quarterback down. Either way, I think the likelihood of success on a play like this is slim, especially when you're dealing with a team that has some execution problems. And for me, Najee Harris is just too slow. I mean, look at this right here. Let me back this up just a second. Kenny Pickett has turned all the way around, and Najee Harris has literally taken 1 step since the fake handoff. 1 step. Now, what he's going to do next even bothers me more. He's going to play tag with the offensive line and literally touch 2 of the 3 offensive linemen before turning around to get the pass. 1, 2. By the time he turns around, the ball is already batted to the back. Now, let's watch that in full speed. And here's my other issue with this. Najee Harris is basically going to go help Dan Moore, with his blocking assignment. His blocking assignment is a defensive back. I don't understand why Najee feels the need that he needs to assist Dan Moore with the chip, but he does, and that's kind of what makes him take a little bit longer as well to turn around. One thing that I am hoping for when it comes to the new offensive coordinator and play caller is that they run the hot hand, and in my opinion, that's Jaylen Warren across the board. So on this play here, this one is where Kenny Pickett just holds on to the ball too long. The ball should honestly be let go already. He's still holding on. And what ends up happening is because he holds on to the ball so long, that Deontay Johnson engages with his defensive back, thinking that the ball should have came out of his hands. Takes forever. It's a completed pass. Good yards, but ends up coming back because of a penalty. This one is just kind of confusing to me. The design of the play, if it's designed this way, which I highly doubt, because I've never once seen a running back on a screenplay run in front of their blockers. So I'm pretty sure it's an execution issue here. But what you're going to see is Jaylen Warren go in front of his blockers for the screen, which to me doesn't make any sense. Completely dooms out the screen pass. At this point, the Pittsburgh Steelers have ran 3 screens in which none of them have worked. Or if you consider the one that was blown dead because of a delay of game. On that play, it was almost ran completely. I actually had started working on it, but Allen Robinson completely just stops blocking because he sees the penalty. And his guy is one of the guys that ends up coming in a little bit later to hit Jaylen Warren. Had there not been a penalty, I think that Allen Robinson is going to actually block that guy instead of just stand there. But that guy didn't have anything to do with the play. The middle linebacker read that and blew it up in the backfield. Fortunately, we got a delay of game. There would have been 4 screenplays that didn't work before we get to the 5th one that finally does work. On that last play, What you've noticed, or what I noticed when we talked about it, was Kenny Pickett dropping back from the screen and running away from it. I've seen that on a couple of plays. This play works because he's going to stand there, turn, and throw the ball. What the Pittsburgh Steelers offense did was eliminate the back coming out of the backfield and the quarterback from feeling pressure. What I also want you guys to notice is that Broderick Jones ends up taking 2 guys on this play, which really allows for the offensive lineman to get out there. See, if Mason Cole makes this block, Jaylen Warren is going to the house for 6. Jaylen had a great screenplay, so let's throw in Najee Harris back out there. And on this play, you see Najee Harris is up at top of the screen. I just think he takes too long to turn around. He assists with a chip block, which I believe is also another defensive back. And by the time he turns around, the defensive player is in his face. Let's watch that again. And yeah, Najee Harris is out there helping Dan Moore with the defensive back. If Dan Moore can't handle this defensive back by himself, then he definitely shouldn't be a left tackle. At this point, Najee Harris should already be facing the quarterback. Now, from this angle, you can't really tell, but this blitzing or incoming defensive player for the Cleveland Browns right in the face of Kenny Pickett is in position that would make this ball very, very difficult to complete, especially given the position that Najee Harris is in. He shouldn't be anywhere near the line right now. He should be a couple of steps back and had turned around fairly quickly. Instead, Kenny Pickett one-hops it. This is on 3rd down. This is the second to last drive. The score is 10-10, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are going in for a possible go-ahead score. They draw up a screen to Jaylen Warren. Now, what do you see right here? You see hat on a hat. As long as they block their guy, this should be a successful play. All Kenny Pickett has to do is throw this ball in front of Jaylen Warren. What is that? Maybe an 8-yard pass, air yard pass. Get in front of him and let him run up the field. He throws a back shoulder pass. And the reason I say that is because the Kenny Pickett apologists claim that Kenny Pickett doesn't ever throw a bad pass. It's intended. So that was a back shoulder pass. Now it's 4th down. This is a little bit of a bonus play. This is a play that a lot of folks were talking about, saying that they thought that this was a screen play. But here are the routes that they're running. Kenny Pickett has a certain tendency. If the middle linebacker is on the line of scrimmage or in between the hash, Kenny Pickett is checking down to the running back that is running to the flat or towards the sideline. It happens all the time. In fact, I would recommend going back to my video on the Raiders breakdown. I talk about Kenny Pickett's tendencies when it comes to the middle linebacker and shading to the inside or being inside the numbers. I'd also go back to the game against the Los Angeles Rams, where I talked about it as well on an almost pick 6. The defenses are aware that if the linebacker lines up between the hash marks and or at the line of scrimmage, 9 out of 10 times Kenny Pickett is automatically going to make the decision to throw it out to the running back. In fact, there was another play last week where he hit Jaylen Warren, ended up, it was a 3rd down, didn't go anywhere, and Deontay Johnson was running wide open behind him. Now, this play could have worked had Kenny Pickett held onto the ball a little bit longer and didn't just automatically look at Jaylen Warren. This is not a screenplay. Nobody moves out there to block for Jaylen Warren. None of the receivers go out to block for Jaylen Warren. They're all running routes. This was not a design pass to Jaylen Warren or screen. Here's what Kenny Pickett is seeing. And because Kenny Pickett, let's back this up again a little bit. Because Kenny Pickett just kind of stares down Jaylen Warren. Look at that. As soon as the ball is snapped, look at where he is looking at. Everybody knows already, if the linebacker is on the line of scrimmage, it's coming out over here. The defense knows that their linebacker is on the line of scrimmage. So they're looking out for this play. If Kenny Pickett holds on to it a little bit longer or looks it off a little bit, maybe looks down the field and forces the cornerbacks on the top of the screen here to play a little bit more honestly, maybe perhaps this play has a chance to succeed where he decided to throw it at. But because he stared it down so quickly, this play had no chance. As soon as the ball is snapped. Just a bad day for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. Looked like August football to me, to be honest with you. Hit that like and subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Let me know what you guys think. Who should be running the screens? Should it be Najee? Should it be Jaylen? I think it should be Jaylen. At this point, I think Jaylen Warren does everything better than Najee Harris. He avoids contact in the backfield better than Najee Harris. Because of his shiftiness and speed and quickness, when he's hit, he's harder to go down. He finds the open hole much quicker. His burst is there and has a home run ability. I think Najee Harris should be used in situational football. If you have a 4th and 1, 3rd and 1 goal line type situation, put him in there. Use him for that. If you're not aware, I am a audio podcaster for Steel Curtain Network, formerly known as Behind the Steel Curtain. I do a Friday audio only podcast on everywhere you find podcasts. So if you're interested in my take and preview for the Pittsburgh Steelers and the upcoming Cincinnati Bengals game, I have linked that podcast in the description. Make sure you go follow it. If you check it out on Apple, give it a 5-star rating. I appreciate everybody. We'll see you guys on the post game show. Peace.